international motivator, a trainer, and a coach. This session, I was quite intrigued because, we've heard about the 7 habits. And so I was very much like, okay, what are these extra super two that I need to know? And are the 7 habits and the nine very similar? So I am sure you guys are also asking that question. So if you have that in your mind and any guesses to what those 9 habits are, I'd love to hear that from all of you too. So see how much are we on the ball in terms of understanding what are these 9 habits to be super successful. And Nikhil has just written a book on this, so it is very exciting from that perspective also. So, successful people set themselves up to be successful in very, very specific ways. They have habits that they have in common. And in this session, we're going to talk about the 9 habits that are there that most of these super successful people have. Nikhil has trained over 250,000. That's a huge number of people. That's 2.5 lakh, I think, from more than 300 cities worldwide. He's a Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, a World HRD Congress, and a director for the Center of Excellence, which has received the HR and Training Company of the Year from the CEO magazine. So, Nikhil, we'll get started. And always my first question, why this topic and why did this topic intrigue you? Because
Yeah,
you are a management coach, you do so many different topics. So, what was it about this that caught your attention?
thanks. Great. Thanks, Sukurti, to have me again on this show for you and the people who have joined in. I assure you the hour that we are going to spend together is going to be valuable for you. All right. So, first of all, the number nine. I believe that the number nine is very important because it's the last number, of the cardinal numbers, and it represents the highest kind of wisdom and experience and the culmination of a lot of things for a lot of people, right? Symbolically, this number is very, very powerful, even more powerful than the number seven. And that's why I thought of the 9 habits. Moreover, these 9 habits did not come from any book or anything, that is already written in many ways. It just came from my own life experiences. What I felt has made me successful, being born in a humble middle class family with very little money, with very little things, high values. And I appreciate and respect my late parents for that, but not much otherwise, right? So, what brought me from, I may say, in very humbly, from a zero to some kind of a hero, at least in my field, with whatever you shared. So I said, what are those? And I started thinking about those. I started writing and penning those down. And that's where these 9 habits have come, which I'm going to share with people. So you won't find them, some of them could be common habits because they're still important, example, time management, etc. But, it's just come from my learnings of life. That's all.
My second question in this one, how do you define super successful or successful? Because that is a question that we are all grappling with.
Absolutely. And for me, super success is not only about the material success, it's also about the internal success. I've created an acronym which is called LIFE, living in fulfillment and enjoyment. Fulfillment in any professional work that we do, and enjoyment in our personal lives. If that balance is there, we are super successful. If we have a lot of fulfillment in our professional life, but we don't have that in personal life, or vice versa, we've got a great personal life, but if we are working somewhere, we are not doing full justice to that, then according to me, we are not super successful, right? So it's the balance, and being successful at both internal and external lives is what I believe is super success.
Well, thank you for explaining that. And you've already told us how this is a little bit different. But since we do focus a lot on women and issues about women, what do you find is the biggest issue and shouldn't say biggest issue, biggest habit that is holding women back?
Wonderful. It's a great question. And I believe if I were to say one thing, it's probably not investing enough in learning sometimes because they don't have time, because they're so caught up with all the other activities at home and otherwise. And along with that is a little bit lower focus on their own health and their own well-being. I would say this probably is the biggest real one factor. A little attention, and today we'll talk about that as one of the habits, right, is going to make a big difference. Because if this is you as a woman, And above that is your family. Okay, let me take just to use this. Let's say this is a woman here, right? And here you have her family. Then if she's working, the company. Then you have, your social circle. Then you have the city you live in or whatever, your neighborhood. The point I'm trying to make is, if this is shaky, none of the others can be in good stead. So therefore, a habit for women would be to take care of their health. And I'm going to explain a little bit more what I mean by good health.
Awesome. So, Nikhil, I'm going to turn it over to you. We would love to get started, understand what these 9 habits are. Like I said, any guesses, guys? First, I want to hear your guesses because I
Sure,
want
we
to see
can.
how many of these habits can we come up with ourselves, or
Absolutely. So
what
you can put it.
habits do we think? I think
Yeah,
waking up early, this
sure.
5 a.m. club is like embedded in my head. So I'd love to hear from other people. What do
Yes.
they think
Please put it
also?
in the chat box. Yeah. If you, yeah, punctuality, gratitude. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Prioritizing your mental health. Wow, very
Yeah.
nice.
Great. Awesome. 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 32 participants and more adding more, 33. Go ahead. Right.
Journaling.
Journaling. Beautiful. 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 We'll wait another 60 seconds. Let more people share because, and yeah, go ahead.
Believe
Believe
in
in
yourself.
yourself.
That's very
Wonderful.
true.
Great. Me,
Venus,
consistency,
yeah, Venus says
gratitude.
meeting parents,
Right,
consistency,
right.
gratitude.
Fantastic.
Very nice, very nice. No, it's also good for us to think because I think a flip side of this question is what do you think has made you successful?
Of
So,
course.
yeah, because I think like Nikhil has said that he actually looked at himself and said, okay, what did I learn from? So Dr. Vandana says learning from mistakes so important.
Beautiful.
Sunita says spirituality. Ruhi says putting yourself first. So
Great.
true, so true.
Great.
All
Great.
right, over to you, Nikhil, and we please keep
Fantastic.
them coming, and because we'll
Yes.
count how many of these we got out of the 9.
Yes. And let me say right away that you will find that some of those habits that you've shared or would share would be subsets of some of the habits that I'm talking about, or in different ways linked to those anyway, right?
So
Creating a
Aniket is
supporting
saying
environment. Absolutely.
self-motivation, and
Great.
Radhika is saying creating a supporting environment.
Beautiful.
Developing
Develop.
smart goals. I love that.
Absolutely. Vanshika, that you bang on there. Yeah, that's one of the habits. But anyway, we'll go ahead, right?
Great,
So
great. Go ahead,
let's
Nikhil.
let's let's move forward and yeah, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes,
Yes?
we can. Yes.
Awesome. Great, great. All right. So first and foremost, I love Henry Ford's quote, which says, anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. The greatest thing in life is to keep your mind young. And this quote is related to one of the habits, but I thought I'll share it up front because I want to congratulate the 44 participants and more, because you have come to invest 1 hour of your time in learning today. And that's why I put up this slide right up front. Uh, Sukurti has already said a lot of things about me, but this is part of our standard. So this will take not more than 60 seconds. An MBA from the US, worked in New York after that, but I give myself a bigger degree, which is called LLL. And that, my friends, stands for lifelong learner. And just to share with you, I have made this as the first habit of my 9 habits. You see, right? So, what I'm sharing, as I said, is from my own experience. While I've given myself a degree, I would like people to also actually feel that they are lifelong learners. How many of you would like to be lifelong learners? Please write LLL in the chat box. If you'd like to be a lifelong learner, already you are trying and working towards the first habit of my 9. Yeah. I'm going to share a little bit about that. Awesome. Great. I see a lot of people already writing in the chat that they'd like to be lifelong learners. And I promise you, my friends, this is going to be one of the biggest takeaways from this session today, being a lifelong learner. All right. So that has taken me 30 years, 300 cities, 42 countries, 2,000 organizations, 250,000 participants. And my goal is now to reach 500,000 participants
I
by
would
the
have
end of
said a
this decade.
million. Come on,
Uh,
Nikhil. We
no,
can't have 500,000 targets. We need to
so,
set the target
so
to a million.
that is my lifetime target. But right now, 500,000 is for this decade.
Awesome.
All right, it's
Awesome.
for this decade. Otherwise, my lifetime target, you completely bang on. It's a million. I've done 30 years. I plan to complete 20 more years in my profession. I plan to hit 50 years. I've been a cricketer, so half centuries and centuries have a lot of meaning to me in all areas of life, right? Okay. So, but thanks. All right. So, Learning Panorama featured with people like Mr. Narayan Murthy, a Lifetime Achievement Award, the visual picture of this, which Sukriti has already mentioned, Company of the Year by the CEO magazine for the 2,000 clients and the 120 topics that we train on. And if you look at some of our clients, they are the best in the world, right? So about 15 minutes ago, I was talking to an international client. I'm going to the US on 9th of March to conduct programs in USA, right? Even now, this is my first international trip after the pandemic, after 2 years, right? So I was debating whether to go or not, but then now we need to treat COVID as another flu, as an endemic. And if they're flying me business class, I thought I'm safe enough, to make that trip. So yes, so I've got clients like Capgemini and Deloitte, Dow Chemicals, Infosys, Pfizer that's in the news for the vaccine and so on, right? So now coming to the 9 habits, the number 9 represents completion as it is the last of the single digit numbers and the highest in value, right? So that's one reason why I
Nikhil,
thought
I
of the
also want to
nine
ask you
habits.
any numerology also with number nine that
Yes,
intrigue
this
you?
it is part of numerology also. It's the same thing that they say in numerology, that number 9 represents completion. Number 9 is the cardinal number and high in value. So this actually comes from there anyway, right? And the fact that it symbolically in numerology, it represents a culmination of wisdom and experience. So 7 does not, 9 does. And that's why 9, right? And then if we ultimately, I always believe that knowledge is knowing what to do, wisdom is doing what we know. And my aim always in my programs is for people to be wise, not knowledgeable. Because just adding more knowledge does not add a lot of value. Today, everybody has internet access, everybody has Professor Google. So knowledge is not a problem at all. If at all our problem lies in converting that knowledge into wisdom, making it a life with the learnings that we have. So I hope these 9 habits, some of us will at least take away. And let's do this for the 50 participants right now, right? That's a virtual applause, half century. Yeah. I used to be a number 3 batsman and leg spinner. I was on the first ever series that was telecast on Doordarshan on cricket coaching. If some of you who are 50 plus would know a person known as Polly Umrigar, India's captain and a great bat, and he coached 15 youngsters. I was the only guy from Mumbai, and everybody else was from other cities, right? So that's what was valuable for me. All right. So what is a habit? A habit is a settled or a regular tendency or practice, something that's settled in your life, something that's regularly that you practice. That is obviously a habit. Till that happens, it is not a habit. All right. So we first make our habits and then our habits make us. This is the reason also for writing this book, that if we know the 9 habits and if we start using those 9 habits, and then we know that those habits are going to make our lives, then it's going to be a great value added life. It's not going to be existence, it's going to be living. Big difference between the two. I would like you honestly to ask yourself, how many days in your life have you been existing, and how many days in your life have you been truly living? There's a big
Wow.
difference. There's a big difference, right? And if we are existing, it is possibly only existing, it is because we've not followed some valuable and important habits to make that life some very powerful journey and experience for all of us, right? So habit number one, right? Here we go. Lifelong learner. Never, ever stop learning. 2 years down, just 2 years when the pandemic hit us. We are now in February. It was what was it? The 21st of March, 2020, when I had to conduct scheduled registrations received for a full day program at a conference room in Mumbai. People from various companies had registered. But Janta curfew was announced on 18th of March. And as a result, obviously, companies and individuals were not willing to attend the in-person program at the conference room. Now, I had never, ever done an online program. In fact, when people used to ask me, why don't you do, Nikhil, an online session for us, especially my international clients, because they would save on travel, easier logistically. I said, no, yaar, online doesn't have the energy of, the in-person programs. I actually refused not that there were that many that time, of, kind of invitations like they are now, but I refused. I said, no, if you want online, I won't come. And I left. So maybe some of them got converted to offline, some of them I left. And when this happened, and I realized that, my God, we are in this big time. And if I will not do an online program, two things will happen. One, there could be several months. I didn't know nobody knew it'll last 2 years, right? I mean, we thought maybe 2 months, 3 months, whatever it was, 6 months. I said 6 months of not doing a program will be something that I've never done for that time, 28 years. So I decided that I will give it a shot. The second reason was, in my 30-year career, at that time 28, I had never, ever postponed or canceled a single program of mine for any reason. And this would be for no reason of no fault of mine. I would have to at least postpone it, if not cancel it, right? Postpone for sure. So two reasons why I said no. I took a day out and learned Zoom, learned how to do whatever. And let me tell you, my friends, 21st of March 2020, the program happened as scheduled with all the participants. The only difference was it happened online and not offline. If you think that was good, write GD in the chat box. I'm saying this humbly. If you think it is good, write GD, because this is a live example of being a learner, even at that age and stage where I had said that this was not ready to change. Circumstances change, life changes. You have to adjust to those. Thank you for your feedback.
And Nikhil, I'd love to ask the audience, because so many of us did learn Zoom and so many new things. So
Sure.
please do share, what was your LLL in these last 2 years of the pandemic?
Absolutely. Please go ahead. We'd love to hear
Because I
from
know
you
for
in the
me,
chat
I
box.
would agree with you, because I had also never used Zoom. And
Yeah.
in the last 2 years, we've done 250 plus sessions on
Look at
Zoom.
that. Look at that. That's great. So applause for you too. Good. So somebody wants to add in the chat box. Let's see what they say.
Vanshika
Right.
says, learning to operate Instagram.
Very
Awesome,
good,
Vanshika.
Vanshika.
Great. But please do share your learning, because I think the pandemic has forced us to understand that, that life is going to be changing and lots of changes will happen. And the only thing you can do is really be adept. Ruhi says, I learned how to use LinkedIn Learning.
Yeah, for a second, I was wondering when I saw before the typo error, Sue LinkedIn Learning. And I said, my God, you had a bad experience with them. No worries, Rui. Before I saw use, I would have never attended so many sessions. Right. Great. Sunita, Sipping Thoughts is one of the best platforms. Very good. I pivoted from corporate employment to self-employed. Look at that, Kavita. Wonderful. Great. Sharing the screen was nerve-wracking, but now we are pro. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Great.
That's
Great.
awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. I'm 73 years old and my grandson both learned. Fantastic. That's a great applause for Usha Kumar, right? Let me tell you, my friends, just last Friday, that's today, we are on what? It's a Thursday, right? So
Yes.
6 days ago, I did my second in-person program after the pandemic in Mumbai. Both of them. One was in Mumbai, one in Navi Mumbai, this one. We had 150 people attending that program in person. And I'm saying this, not that number. I'm saying it related to Usha Kumar's point. In that program, I had an 88-year-old attending a live in-person program 6 days ago. Now, that's what I call a lifelong learner, right? And when he heard about my lifelong learner, he says, you know what, Nikhil? I thought now 88, what more to learn? But I'm glad I came to your program. Now, for the rest of my life, I'm still going to be learning, right? So so congratulations, Usha. All right. So, wow, Kirti. Thank you, Kirti. Great. So we go to the next point, which is a high focus on health. Good health is the best wealth. How many of us agree health is equal to wealth? If you agree, write AG in the chat box. Write AG in the chat box. Health is equal to wealth.
But Nikhil, we all know this, but
Yeah.
why do we neglect it so
Yeah.
much?
So I'm going to come to that in a minute. In fact, what you know in that sense is also not tallying with what I believe. All right. So I'll say that in a minute. You as in the audience, you as in the general population that I address. Okay. So when I'm saying health is equal to wealth, and many of you said that you agree, I don't agree. First of all, let's get that clear. I don't agree that health is equal to wealth. I did ask you how many agree, and you said agree. I say health is much more than wealth. Now, how many of you agree to that one? I would like you to write AGG, just to make it different. AGG. Health is not equal to wealth. If health was equal to wealth, then Dhirubhai Ambani at that time with his 50,000 crores could have managed that one side paralysis that he had. And even if a doctor had asked him for 5,000 of his 50,000 crores at that time, he would have willingly paid it to become a fit man. So health is not wealth. So first and foremost, I'm sure all of you agree that now health is more than wealth, and we spend our life, we do things in our life as if wealth is more important than wealth. Wealth is more important than health. We intellectually only say health is equal to wealth. We don't live it that way, right? And we don't live it that way till we get some major illness, something that shakes us up. Then as human beings, we start looking at health more closely. John F. Kennedy had said the time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining, not when it's already pouring. The time to maintain your good health is when your health is good, not after it's taken a beating in some form. So people who attend my sessions like this, then they get that little extra motivation that, yes, I heard Nikhil today, I agree with Nikhil now, and I am going to invest a little more time in health. Okay. So now I want your answer in the chat box. What is health? Since we believe that health is important, health is more important than wealth, what is health? In the chat box.
I wrote
Disease
disease free.
Okay. I'll wait for 3 more answers and then I'll give you my definition of health. Disease free is 1. Physical and mental well-being. Kirti, thank you. Third one. 2 more. In our hands. Health is in our hands. Gratitude is health. Okay. I love it, Radhika. Attitude of gratitude is always great. Very nice. But for me, health is much more than all these things. Health is a jubilant feeling of well-being at the physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual levels. 5 dimensions of health. Aisha, not just physically and mentally fit. Physically, mentally is good. That's basic. But emotionally, I want very quickly your answers. How many of us sometimes have some aches and pains in our body? Write a P in your chat box very quickly. I'm writing P just to initiate the process. Okay, just write P. Some aches and pains in your body. P. All right, good. How many of us have some attention span issues? We can't focus. We get distracted quickly. Write M. Write M. M for mental focus. Right? E, how many of us get irritated, jealous, angry faster than we'd like to? Emotional health. S, how many of us have at least one person in our life whom we hate, we don't like at all? That person comes into our life, it creates a mess physically in front of us, of course, but even if you think of that person, you feel all upset. Social. Spiritual. How many of us, and I don't want this answer, we are from different religions, but I'm saying we need to understand that spirituality is nothing to do with religion. We may be Hindu, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, but we are all body, mind, and spirit. And for me, spiritual health means living in the present tense. Instead of living in the present tense, how many of us sometimes live tense in the present? Write TP, tense in the present, tense in the present. Write it in the chat box. How many of us sometimes are tense in the present? Yeah, so many of us. And the more we are tense in the present, we are moving away from our spiritual self. Because the spiritual self is about living in the present moment. That is why it's called the present, because that's the only beautiful gift we have. Today it's there. Pandemic has taught us tomorrow may not be there. Next minute may not be there. Right? So focus on health. Habit number 3, powerful vision for our life. Right? Powerful vision for our life. By the way, can you see my title also, or do I need to bring this down? Can you see the title?
Yes, we can.
You can see the title completely, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, powerful vision for our life. We all can do more. We all can achieve greater heights, reach new horizons. I want you to look at 2 non-visionary statements to understand the power of vision. This telephone has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered a means of communication. A company with a limited vision at that time, 146 years ago. Television won't be able to hold on to any market it captures after the first 6 months. People will soon get tired of staring at a plywood box. How many of us are really tired? Pandemic, more people have watched more television than ever before, right? The reality is, these were people with limited visions or non-visions. We want to be people like Walt Disney. His vision was to make people happy. And that's why he set up Disneyland. And of course, now the pandemic, it's got affected. That's a different story. But otherwise, on an average, 40 million people visited Disneyland every year, just in Orlando, right? 99 gates at Orlando airport has. So what is the vision we have for our life? We need to set that vision, and we need to connect our today with our tomorrow. And that's why one of you had mentioned that we need to set smart goals. Once our vision is clear, then we need to set goals that are aligned to that vision. And SMART goals, as many of you know, are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. It must be related to you. Because many people come and tell me, what is the purpose of life? And I say the purpose of life is to live a life of purpose. And the purpose is defined by different people differently. Your purpose is different from my purpose. A homemaker does not have to be super successful outside. Her homemaking in the best manner and keeping care of the home and the family is her absolute relevant goal and vision. Nothing wrong with that. Homemakers don't have to always be looking out for outward so-called professional and corporate success. If that is your vision, it has to be relevant to you, and that is important. So
One question that we are
yes.
getting, Dr. Vandana Saxena is asking, is
Oh,
vision aligned to desire?
okay, that's a great question. Yeah, you can tell me, because sometimes I'm not looking at the chat every
Yes.
time. So if there's a question that comes up, normally we take the question at the end to make that. But if it's very directly related and you want me to take it now, I can take it. No, vision is not necessarily related to desire, because a desire could be something that's quite flimsy. A desire could be something that's wishy-washy. right? A vision is something more powerful. It's something that really you feel you want to do with your life. Desire could be, for example, I want to go out and have dinner in the night, is a desire, isn't it? Right? It's not my vision that I have to go out and have dinner. Okay. So just to let you know, vision has more substance. It is something that's more fulfilling. It is something that means much more. Desire could be relatively more frivolous, right? But
Nikhil, tell us what is your vision, because that will help us also better understand
yes,
how do we.
absolutely. What I shared was, of course, that 1 million participants, by making a meaningful difference in more than 1 million people's lives by the time I am 50 years into the profession, is my vision, right? And I'm seeing it. I'm seeing that this is happening. I'm seeing people tell me at the end of my sessions, oh, we've attended so many sessions, but your session was different. It had more energy. I know one person told me after one of my sessions that in the last 2 years, he's attended many programs online. And one of the sessions, every time his wife, he would step out into the kitchen and ask his wife for a cup of coffee somewhere about 30 minutes into the session, 20 to 30 minutes. And after my session, during my session, he didn't get up, right? So the wife after the session came and told him, why did you not get up? And this is what he has actually shared with me. He says, Nikhil's session was so engaging. So I didn't feel like getting up for even that 1 minute. Forget 5 and 10 minutes that I used to take a break. Now, when you keep getting this kind of feedback, and I always believe feedback is the breakfast of champions. I want you, my participants, even at the end of this session, I want your feedback. Okay. Do not run away after 1 hour or whenever we finish. Because that's my fuel, right? So write how you felt, what you got, whatever you want to write, but write. So I hope you got my vision, Sukirti. Yes?
Thank you for sharing that with
I
us.
move on. So what will you and your team stop doing? What will you start doing? What will you continue doing? And what will you complete doing? All this needs to be done and defined in SMART goals. Habit number 5 is master time management. Time is equal to life. Therefore, waste your time and waste your life, and master your time and master your life. Very, very important that we master time if we want to master our life. A young person had gone up to HRD Tata and said, sir, I want to be a very successful person like you. Can you teach me, share with me the secrets of your success? And he said, remember 6 words in your life: keep your word and keep your time. If you made a promise to somebody, honor that promise. And if you have to do things, like somebody said, punctuality. That's what I said. Many of yours will be subsets of what I'm talking about. Punctuality is keeping your time, right? Deciding your priorities is most important, because I believe the essence of time management is the ability to see your priorities, to organize your life around your priorities, and to execute your priorities. Time management is not doing 100 things. If you're doing 5 things in the day, but those 5 were your top priorities, you are a good time manager. You do 95 things, but you miss out those 5 priorities, you're not a good time manager. Prioritization, like some of you mentioned, is also an important sub-habit of time management. Communicate effectively. What is communication? We need to understand. Communication is the process of passing information and understanding. A lot of times we say things, people don't understand it, then that's not communication. So we need to be more effective. Just because we know the language, example English, it doesn't mean we are great communicators. Unless we actually are able to reach the other person in the same manner that we'd like to, and vice versa, communication needs to be improved. It is the nerve of all interpersonal relationships, whether at family, whether at work, whether in your social circle. I want to ask all of you 3 questions, and I want your quick answers, a few of you in the chat box. Am I always satisfied with the results of my communication? Y or N? Y is yes, N is no. Be honest, be honest, be honest, be honest. Thank you for the honesty. Thank you for the honesty. One thing I must say, you all are very honest people, right? Okay. Second is, do people always understand? Mark the word always is important. when you explain, whatever you say is always understood. If not, please write that in the chat box. N, N, N. All right. And the third point, my friends, is do I sometimes find myself regretting conversations and wish they had gone differently? Write your answer, yes or no. Yes or no. Yes, 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 yes. If your answer is no to the first two and yes to the third, it means there is a room for improvement in your communication. The greatest room in the world, my friends, is the room for self-improvement. And each of these habits, as you improve, you'll find yourself becoming stronger and a more successful person. So one thing that people are pretty weak at is listening. So I thought in this short period of time, let me give you a good acronym for listening, which could be useful to you. When you're listening to people, especially offline, in person, L stands for look interested. I stands for inquire with questions. S is stay on the track, don't get digressed. T is test understanding, whether you and they heard and understood each other well. Evaluate the message. What is it giving you? Positive, negative, what is the content, what is the meaning? And finally, never assume anything. You know, if you assume things, you make an ass of you and me. You know that, right? You break the word assume into three parts, ASS/U/ME. So you make a donkey of you each other. Assumptions never work in communication. So
But
that's
that is
what
the
we need to
very,
improve.
very, very tough, this N, because we are always going into conversations with assumptions.
Absolutely, because assumptions are one of the biggest barriers in good communication. Why assume? Why not clarify? You know, that's a question we need to ask ourselves, and that will help us a lot. Okay, so we come to the next habit, and that is habit number 7, build teams. If you're at work, you need to build teams. If you're not at work, at home, your family is your team. Build teams. Because if you have, somebody said, belief in yourself, which is trust in yourself, self-confidence, and you have trust in your team, success starts coming to you in leaps and bounds. Henry Ford had said, coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. So if you're a family, if you are, for example, just getting married, coming together, you got came together, you work together, keeping together, and working at the marriage. There's nothing about 50-50 relationship. A marriage is a 100-0 relationship. Once we realize that, you're going to work together, irrespective of what happens. And that helps a lot everywhere. Just gave an example because I assume, and because this was not, it was an assumption that I was told, Sukriti, that everybody is not working professionals here, right? So I'm sharing that example. Otherwise, of course, when you're working in an organization, we are quite clear. How many of us have heard this acronym? Please fill up the last word right now. Together, everyone achieves. What's the last word? Fill it up. Fill it up. Fill it up here in the chat box. Yeah, more, 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 more. Most people would write more, and actually, yes, it is miracles. Together, well done, well done. Together, we can achieve miracles. Habit number 8 is be full of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm comes from the Greek word entheos. Entheos is full of energy, full of vitality. I always believe the greatest bankrupt in the world is not a person who doesn't have money. The greatest bankrupt in the world is a person who doesn't have enthusiasm for this beautiful gift of life. Hindi mein, how many of you would like to hear a little bit of sher shairi from me? Just write S in the chat box. Write S. अगर आप सुनना चाहते हो तो मैं एक सुनाओ, नहीं तो फिर no मतलब. If you're all English experts and no sher shairi तो नहीं. At least I should get 5 S's. Ah, All right, I got many, right? Okay. जिंदगी खूबसूरत है, जिंदगी खूबसूरत है, हमें जीना नहीं आया. जिंदगी खूबसूरत है, हमें जीना नहीं आया. नशा हर चीज में है, हमें पीना नहीं आया. And that is enthusiasm, my friends. Rui says, wow, wow. Vandana Saxena, wow, wow.
That was not a shairi I expected from you, ke peena nahi aaya.
Peena nahi. The point I'm trying to make is very simple. Everything that happens in Zindagi is a nasha if you take it in the right spirit. But we know how to drink it, how to absorb it, how to imbibe it. That is important. So enthusiasm is important. When enthusiasm is important, your attitude becomes powerful. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than success, than what other people think, say, or do. It will make or break a company or a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. Just want to check, are you able to see my entire slide? Yes, okay. Every day when you get up in the morning, you have two choices. You can say, good morning, God, or you can say, oh God, it's morning. Almost the same words, but how you get up makes an impact on the day. Yesterday may be the worst day in your life. When you get up, you have a fresh new day. Are you grateful for that, or are you still carrying memories of yesterday into the beautiful today? That's a choice we need to make. I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% what? How I react to it, right? So life is only 10% what? Pandemic happens, 10%. 90%, how did I respond? Some illness in the family, how did I respond? Maybe even something as bad as somebody passed away close to us because of the pandemic. How did I respond? That's always in my control. The situation is not always in our control. Our response to that situation is always in our control. That's what we need to remember. So it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. And our attitude determines our altitude in life. Habit number 9, manage stress. A lot of things happen. No sleep, fear, worry. Some people lost jobs, late nights. Time management is not good, leads to stress, payments to be made. So what are the options? There are many things. In fact, we have a full program also on stress management, which has even been attended by the US Coast Guard in San Francisco. And the training head said, Nikhil, your session was awesome. We need more sessions like this. I used to fly by helicopter to the British gas platforms. I used to spend a few lakhs of rupees just on my helicopter ride, besides my fees, just to do a program for 2 hours for them every month, on the oil rigs of British gas. So the relationship between stress and performance, when stress is low, performance is also low. When stress is low, performance is low. When stress reasonably increases, performance improves. When stress becomes too much, performance tends to decline. So we need to make sure that we arrest it before that happens. And what happens? Not only performance and productivity, health starts affecting, energy starts draining, and it strains relationships. More divorces occur because one or the other partner is stressed, or both the partners, rather than real, valid, logical reasons. Yeah, according to my little bit, it's only maybe 2 or 3 out of 100 that really, out of the divorce cases, that really are genuine reasons. Most of it is stress related, communication related, right? Things like that, not knowing life, and so on. So dissolving stress, one of the best medicines is laughter. And I'm going to actually do it with all of you. You look at it in this picture, since many of you are women, see how beautifully they are enjoying this laughter, this lady and the young child. and what it can do to the energy of the house, what it can do to the energy of the relationship, what it can do to the energy of the young person and your own energy is what it's all. Get up. If you want to get up, you can do it sitting also, but getting up is always better. You'll get more impact. All right. So how are we going to do this? I'm going to demo one laughter, and then you will do 4 more laughters after that, right, with me. But the first one, you just pay attention. Do not do it. We are going to breathe in, and we're going to move our hands left and right, but we are going to try and laugh silently or laugh without any sound. The reason I say this is sometimes people have told me, Nikhil, I don't mind laughing, but my spouse doesn't like me laughing. Somebody says, my spouse is okay, but my mother-in-law, father-in-law. Somebody says everybody in the family is okay, but my neighbors have a problem. Somebody says, obviously, we can't laugh at work like this. So I said, let me create one laughter, which is silent laughter, which all of us can do every time we go for our shower in the bathroom. While we have a shower with a water, we can also have the shower of laughter and do it so silently that nobody outside the bathroom will even know, even in your own house. So that's why I created this silent laughter, where you can always do it. Now, one I will demo, then 4, 5 more you'll do it with me. Don't do it right now. Just see my belly. You won't be able to see my belly, but it goes all the way in, and my face gets flushed with blood. You're not seeing online. You may not notice all this, but you have, when you do it, you must do it. Breathe in. That's one round. That's a demo. We are going to do 5 rounds, and then I'll give you some instructions. Follow those instructions after that. Your time starts now. Breathe in. That's 1, 2. 2, 3. 3, 4. 5. Eyes closed, left hand on your chest. Observe your breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. No movement of the body. No movement of the mind. Completely silent and still. Feel the flow of pranic energy through every part of your body. And you're feeling good. And remember, people who feel good about themselves produce good results in their lives, in their personal lives and in their professional lives. So those of you who felt good after this laughter, please write FG in the chat box. If you felt good after this laughter activity, please write FG in the chat box. Good. Great. Great. So if you felt good, you didn't hurt anybody, you didn't bother anybody, then why not do it on a daily basis? At least once a day when you go for a shower. All right? Good. So let me share. I was told about 44. I've taken even more time. Let me quickly come to our closure. Our important offerings. We offer one-to-one coaching for people who would be interested, right? We do power-packed online and offline sessions. We have a code word which we call PMP for that. We do in-house programs for corporates. And if you want to be a trainer like me, I personally train people online. These are the 4 things. One-to-one is one-to-one coaching, PMP, INH, and TTT. If any of you are interested in any of that, here's my email ID, here's my WhatsApp number. Write what you would be interested in, and we can take that conversation sometime forward. Because ultimately, the biggest investment that you can make is in yourself. It's not in the financial markets. One of the things I believe, one reason why people are not truly successful and happy is because they invest in a lot of other things, but they don't invest in themselves. They don't put in time, money, and energy into being the person they are capable of being, but they spend it on holidays. I'm not saying nothing is wrong, but do not invest in yourself. Time, money, and energy. If you want your goals to be met, MET, in life, MET. M stands for spend money on it. E stands for spend energy on it. And T stands for spend time on it. If you don't do these three, you will not really meet the goals you are capable of achieving, right? So that's now I want feedback. Before I hand over for questions, we'll take questions. I'll be here with you, but I want feedback. Yeah, I'll take your question, Kavita, after your feedback. How did you feel? How did you think? How did you, learn? What did you learn? Whatever you want to write. Was it a good session? Was it worth spending your 1 hour on? Whatever you want to write. It's an open feedback that I want from my participants, that I've invested 1 hour of my time, and I believe I've given some value. I'd like to see, because that will take me forward in my 20 years, right? So go ahead. Yeah. Some different perspectives, experiences, inspired, motivational. Thank you, Julian. Great energy, good session. Listen is my greatest takeaway. Great. So Kurti, will you be sending me this feedback later on?
I will.
Please do that, because that, as I said, is my breakfast of champions. Otherwise, I would have to take some screenshots. I'm not doing any screenshots, right? You will send me. Thank you. I learned so much. The one point I loved was the point on absolutely, Radhika. So important. I was very low, gave me positive energy and hope. Yes, life is not meant to be low. Life is meant to elevate yourself. Through sessions like this, through learning, through investment in yourself. There, Shankar says, good, right. Go ahead, because I love the laughter exercise. Great, Sarika. Whatever you take, my practical, down to earth, thank you. One PhD from Johnson & Johnson attended my programs and wrote after feedback, SAP, Nikhil, your programs are SAP. And then I said, what is SAP? And he said, simple, actionable, practical, right? And that's exactly what Anantaraman has said. Such a pleasure to meet you virtually. So many takeaways. Thank you, Ruhi. Right. It was a revisit to a few things we have missed during, for those of you, time to re-energize ourselves and bounce back. Thank you so much. Good.
So,
Right.
sir, before we go on to take questions, I want to ask you one, because we talk a lot about habits, but
Yes.
getting anything into a habit is very tough. And then Ruhi will take your question next.
All right. So getting into the habit is best session till now. Look at that, Anjali. That's the kind of feedback I honestly, now it's done.
He's made your day.
Yeah. And every day I do at least a few sessions every day. And imagine that I get these kind of responses several times a day. Do I need to eat or drink or do anything? Nothing. Your feedback is enough for me to be, energetic for the next session, right? Thank you very much. Thank you, Anjali. I appreciate that. So habits, yes, they're difficult to form. It requires some discipline and some work. The best way to work on habits is with a coach. If you Google, there's a video of Bill Gates saying everyone needs a coach. Now, if Bill Gates had to say this, right, then obviously, if we want to be somebody happy and successful, I'm not talking of becoming Bill Gates. Human beings are not designed to do everything by themselves. Coach helps to overcome their blind spots. Coach helps when, for example, somebody said, I'm feeling low, to raise to the next level. Coach fills in the gaps of information, knowledge, etc. on a particular topic that they are weak. You have a chain. If that entire chain is very, very strong, it's made from, solid steel, but you have one of the links in that chain is a weak link. You just pull that chain and that link breaks. The chain is now broken. just because of one weak link. So only the coach can genuinely and truly. Why do people, I work with organizations that engage me for 30, 40 sessions of coaching with senior people, right? Why? Because, and now online coaching has become so much easier. Because earlier people used to call me, either I went to their office, they came to my office, we went to a common place, whatever. Everybody had to travel. And while for live programs, it was worth traveling, for one-to-one coaching, it was not needed. If I had to spend 1 hour coaching, example, Rui, whether I'm one-to-one or whether I'm online with her, the difference was not as much as in a full day training program, because most coaching sessions are 30 minutes or 60 minutes at a time. So for that to invest more time in traveling was not the right thing. All right. So Sukriti, that's your answer. That because we don't have coaches, either we are not ready to spend time on with coaches, we are not putting energy there, or we are not ready to spend money, because a coach will charge some fees, right? We are not ready. We'll do it for other things, we'll not spend. That's the reason. That's the very sad but real reason. Yeah.
Rui, go ahead.
Yes, Rui. What do you do, Rui, professionally? If you're
Rui, we
working?
can't hear you. She's there. She has a question. So
In case any audio problem, ask her to put it on the chat.
yeah, she did put her question in.
Can you
on mute.
repeat? I'll have to go up. So can you tell
Yeah.
me?
How to deal with the fear of failure?
Good question. One of the reasons that stops us from achieving success is the fear of failure. First and foremost, we have to realize that if you make from today, Rui, start making a list of all the things that you wanted to do. And then 1 year later, for example, check. You wanted to do these 10 things, and some of them could be small, some could be medium, some could be very large things. Find out how many you failed at, and the chances are the failure percentage is quite low. Once you realize that, then you get more confidence to go for that goals. What the mind has that habit is to latch on to that discomfort because of one failure, and it forgets the 10 successes that you had, right? So how do you make it conscious to yourself is by making a list. From today, Rui says, I wanted to do ... She makes a list of 10 things, say in 2022, or in the month of March, or in 10 years, time frame, etc. You decide. Better to give this a short period of time. Say in the next 3 months, I want to do these 10 things, or by 31st March, I want to do these 5 things, as long as they're doable within that period. And then 31st March, check. You'll find you probably did 4 out of 5 or 9 out of 10. Okay? That's it. One of the things I always say, do the things you fear and the fear disappears. Fear, Rui, is the sand in the machinery of life. The machinery of life works with oil as lubricant, not with sand. And therefore, you have to realize the fear, work on your fears, and overcome those fears. Again, I encourage each one of you. See, I have a lot of work, right? I do a lot of corporate work, but I will try my best to help you as a coach. If you wish, I will, I'm just saying this, I'll specially discount fees and everything for this group, but do it. You owe it to yourself, Rohi. Others, you owe it to yourself. If you don't do it now, when? If it's not you, who? Ask those questions, 2 important questions. If not now, when? If not me, who? Your answer. Okay, next.
Ranadhir is asking the question. I've asked him to unmute. He hasn't done it, so I'll just ask it on his behalf. Habits are considered bad. Anything habit is bad. Justify your answer, sir. Because we usually hear about habits being a bad thing.
Well, habits, like anything in life, habits are good and bad. Electricity, is it good or bad? Good or bad? It could be both. If you use it positively, like we are doing it right now, it's good. But if, say, we go and touch a live wire, then it's bad. It gives us a shock, correct? Similarly, habits can be good or bad. How we use the energy of our good habits to achieve success is what is important. And normally, when people talk of habits, they're talking of habits like smoking and drinking, and you know, yeah. Thank you, Hemal Patel. Thank you very much for your comment. Right. So that's my answer. Habits are not bad. So anything surplus enthusiasm, eat. What is that now, sir? Anything surplus enthusiasm, eat.
Even eating, even like if you're
Oh, of
like,
course. See, enthusiasm has everything that I say has to be taken in the right spirit and in the positive manner. So somebody says, I'm very enthusiastic about eating and eats, overeats. That's not enthusiasm, right? That's just overeating, right? If you are eating the right food at the right time, you're chewing your food well, then it's great. What's the best way to deal with negative feedback? When you get feedback, you have two choices. First choice is take it, just to take it as it is. Second is to filter it. Who gave you feedback, right? Oh, yes, you wanted to, Sukirti mentioned, I don't know if I saw it on the chat about joining my WhatsApp group.
yeah, we have put it there. That's
Okay,
gone
because I
up.
haven't seen it,
Yeah.
If you want to
Yeah.
put it now also, it'd be nice. Because
Yes.
people are asking all these queries. And it's not going to be a permanent group, by the way. It's just going to be for some time, right? Because I have so many groups and so many things that it's impossible to manage it permanently. But sometimes if people want to connect through that group, it'll be easier for you to do so. All right. The point, what's the best way to deal with negative feedback? As I was saying, identify who is saying it. Is that person that giving you feedback you trust? Is that a person whom you think deserves, you'd give their attention and you need to take some valuable things? Or is it somebody who just wants to bring you down? The minute you have somebody who wants to bring you down, ignore that feedback. But if you think somebody has, then thank them for the feedback. Because if you thank them, they'll give it to you next time also. And every time, as I say, feedback is the breakfast of champions. It makes you better. So feedback is not to be, if you become defensive with the feedback, they'll stop giving you. If they say something and you say, no, I'm not like that, I didn't do it. The minute you say that, they might shut up at that time. And next time you've lost that person's feedback, maybe forever. The best thing to say with feedback for people whom you love and trust, say, thank you for your feedback. And then go deeper into the feedback and say, why do you think you feel that way? I really want to know. That person will open up and you will get learnings which you would never get otherwise. Okay, Radhika? Yeah, you already said thank you. So, yeah, I'm
So
sure.
Kavita is asking a great question, which is a great one for us to end the session with also.
Yes,
What is success? So I think we started with that question and we should end with it. So
sure.
what do you feel is
Great,
success
great,
and what
great.
makes a super successful person?
Absolutely. So, success is, as I said, for me, living in fulfillment and enjoyment is success. Fulfillment in any professional work that you do and enjoyment in your personal life, if you're doing both, you are successful. If you're not doing both, you are not successful. It's as simple, practical as that. It is not about having the Mukesh Ambani's so many crores. It is not about being a Lata Mangeshkar who passed away, right, in the field of arts. It is nothing to do with that. Real success is living your purpose, discovering your purpose in life. What is it in the personal life you want to do? What is it in the professional life you want to do? If you want to do anything in that, I repeat, for a homemaker, that part is not there. 100% of the focus is on personal life, which is fine. Then maintaining your health, managing your time, giving the best to your children, your spouse, all that becomes part of your success. So you define, have a vision, and then make sure that vision, there is some balance, right? It doesn't happen that you are running in some areas so deep that your bicycle, is like one tire is completely full and the other one is slightly deflated, or your motor car, you have four tires and one of them is deflated and the other three are, good. It won't work. You need balance. Balance is critical for success. Practice
Thank you.
anything once, twice, more than twice is habit, and habits are bad. Okay, I think you need coaching on that word. We'll take it later right now because I think it's a great question and a point to end. And plus, we are 5 minutes over time.
Yes. So thank you, Nikhil. Anything you'd like to say before we end for today? And thank you, everyone, for joining us for today. We have another exciting session coming up next Thursday. It's going to be on, it's an art-based workshop. So where we are actually going to draw and figure out what's stopping us from achieving whatever we want. But
Fantastic.
anything else, Nikhil, that you would like
Nothing
to
else.
add
I only
today?
want to end with my best wishes to each one of you. May you be happy and successful, and may God hold you in the palm of his hand always. Right? Wish you lots of success, lots of happiness, everything that you do in life, and be strong, keep healthy, physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual health. Maintain all the 5 dimensions of health as far as possible.
And in one of the 9 goals, the lifelong learning, I think Sipping Thoughts is there with all of you all the way. Thank you. Thank you very much. And have a good night.
Bye. Take care. God bless.